I know one guy in particular that has a few cars that said he was only going to bring 2 this year.
Right.
And we all know who I'm talking about.
Well, right. But
it happens.
Because you guys
hopefully he hasn't sold him yet.
And
he changes his mind.
Well, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
But you guys were kind of on the same page as I was, as a lot of the sportsman drivers, thinking that class was, after this year, was done. It was going away.
Exactly. Right. That's been a rumor ever since Sport Mod started making a comeback in Oregon, or started coming on the scene in Oregon. That has been one of the nastiest, dirtiest rumors at the track.
It started when they combined the 2 classes. And what did we see? 2?
It was even before that.
I think we saw 2 sport mods with that class all year last year. And really, they weren't any better than the sportsman cars. I don't think we saw a sport mod win a feature at Willamette last year against the sportsman cars. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, will that change with what we've seen given this year? I absolutely, I think it probably would.
Mm-hmm.
Given the quality of the sportsman or the sport mod cars we're seeing.
Well, and look at Tom Yak's car. That was a former A mod.
Right.
It's a 3-link A mod that he put into a sportsman body, and now
same with Sandy Sanders.
Same with Sandy Sanders. Now now you can run a sport mod body on that car in the
sportsman
division. So what's to say that those guys aren't going to convert those cars to B mods or sport mods and go racing more?
And what's not to say that there's not going to be 20 sportsmen show up and keep that class alive and
exactly.
It's going to be interesting.
20 sport mod. I do think you will see the sport mod class grow quickly at Willamette.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I think that would be honestly, I think it'd be a great track for the sport mods, being how it's fast, it's big, it's wide. They've got plenty of room. They don't tear stuff up. You know what I mean? I think you'll see that class explode at that track,
just like the modifieds have in the recent years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't say you're wrong.
I'm kind of surprised there. I didn't expect that when I came back to Lebanon, and all those modifieds out there kind of blew me away. I'm like, what the heck are because I guess maybe back in the day, Bill Arnold wasn't a big modified guy,
but he drove one.
Yeah, he wasn't for having them.
Now Claire wasn't a big modified guy.
Claire wanted nothing to do with them,
right?
But it's cool to see the changes, isn't it? I mean, things are going to change. Things are always going to change.
That's the one thing about our sport is there's constant change every year.
Yeah,
rules and
it's life.
Well, you're right.
Things are always going to change. Which just depends on how you look at it, is how it works out.
What are you working on, Widescreen? You're picking up your phone every 3 seconds.
Dude, I've got guys texting me going, I just came in from the shop and heard my name.
What
were you saying about me?
Well, who's that?
Well, I'm not going to say his name on the air.
If we're talking about you on
we've already talked about it.
Yeah, if we're talking about you on Northwest Dirt News, it's probably not good.
Whoa, didn't see that coming.
No, I got that one going. I got another guy going, well, you can do this, don't do that. And I'm going, hey, that's your opinion.
So Chris Frisbee,
everybody has an
Frisbee
opinion.
adds in tonight, I can tell you if Willamette ran sport mods in off weekends from Cottage Grove, you'll have 20 sport mods there every week.
There you go.
Guess what? If we run the sportsman division on an off weekend from Grove, come up and join us.
Come on up and put them on the track.
Let's go have some fun, guys.
There is your personal invitation from us.
Well, and I don't think that I know the sportsmen's versus the sport mods is, some of those guys don't like the idea, but really, they were. It was a competitive. There wasn't a competitive advantage for either car last year. Is that what you saw? I wouldn't say there was a competitive advantage for either car against each other.
I personally think that there was a competitive advantage to to the sportsman last year because of the tire rule. Now that we have gone to a unaltered, a no-touch rule essentially for asphalt slicks on the sportsman's, and pairing the B-mod or sport mods up with a no-touch tire sportsman, I think you're going to see a more competitive race.
More even, yeah.
Because,
Now look who's on their phone.
Exactly, right? You start talking about tire... our sport and racing is all about taking the power and putting it to the ground.
Right.
So where do you start? Do you start at the motor or do you start at the tires? I personally would say start at the tires.
Depends on how you look at it.
I start at the tires and work my way back. Because if you can't get the power to the ground, there's no point to having the power.
What about shocks?
That's the next. That's the next point up from the tire, buddy.
I know. I just messing
and then we go to bar angle, and then we go into drive line length,
and it
and
just
lift
depends
arms
on how you look at it.
Right. How you like to drive.
Everybody's got their own way.
You know, I was just for Jerry to show up and do what he did it settled a lot of things. I feel better. I feel better.
I feel a lot
better.
better.
too.
I do. I feel a lot better knowing what we learned tonight going into the season and being able to answer questions if somebody didn't hear the show.
He's right though. We should have had him in here a couple months ago.
I agree. I mean that's the thing.
Hindsight.
And in all reality for everyone out there, you know, I will admit when I first started racing and being at Schram's tracks, I thought Jerry was, you know, a jerk, flat out. But I've gotten to know Jerry over the last couple of years, and having Jerry in here tonight.
I know what he's saying. What he's saying is it takes a couple of years to get to know Jerry.
But once you get to know Jerry, he's a good guy. I mean, you're sitting here and you saw the tire rule come out, and you're like, you know, and people that don't know Jerry, oh, there's Jerry being Jerry again. But when you sit here and talk to him about it, hey guys, it's not set in stone. This is what we've learned since we've implemented this. If it's an issue, we are willing to backtrack and apologize, and away we're going.
Fix it.
And we're going racing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing's set in stone. If we're having issues, we're going to address it.
So we know that Jerry's going to, he said he's going to go back and listen to the episode, and, you know, feedback constantly coming in. Sean Gentry just chimes in and says Claire didn't like anything with an 8-inch tire. And that's true, because that was why Claire didn't like modifieds. They tore his track up.
Yep.
It created a lot of track prep. And that's honest to God truth right there. Anybody that knows Claire knows that's why he didn't have modifieds at his track. Was because of the tire they ran.
That's back when there were 16 levers inside the grader too.
Well, yeah, dials and
Yeah.
So, but
Hand
yeah,
cranks.
Sean makes a valid point. I mean, that is
Very
truly
valid.
why Claire didn't have the modifieds there. But now with the modifieds being what they are, it's kind of hard to not have them at your track. You know, with that field of cars being so big. And the rules being so universal everywhere that they're so evenly matched. You know what I mean? Kind of hard not to have those at your track to keep your track open. You know, with the state of racing across the country right now is you've got to.
They're not going anywhere.
No, you have to. It's going to get bigger. You have to have modifieds.
Yep.
I mean, look how big Vegas is getting. Look how big Super Nationals at Boone is getting.
Oh, there were so many mods.
The Dakota
down there at
Mod
Bakersfield.
Tour. Bakersfield,
Vegas,
Bud
Vegas.
Nationals,
Yeah.
the Wild West Shootout. I mean, whatever sanctioning body the mods are under, whether it's USRA, IMCA, USMTS.
Well, given
UMP,
where we're at in the country, you have to be IMCA. It's just what it is. There's not enough tracks under any other banner
if you're racing anywhere outside of the Deep Southwest or
Midwest back.
exactly
IMCA
Midwest,
or
the
UMP.
Corn Belt back, or actually the Corn Belt back, it's IMCA.
Mm-hmm.
There's
You're right.
sorry.
So another, going back to what I was saying was, some feedback to Jerry, because he's going to go back and listen to this. He said that Chris Frisbee says he's willing to race against the sportsmen. He's happy to, but it's the IMCA points. IMCA points
Right.
to run. That's what they're pushing for. If they can get the IMCA points for the sport mods against the sportsmen.
Or if they get enough sport mods in there that they can have.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Enough sport mods
Separate
on their
classes.
own. Right.
Right.
They'll branch off.
And hopefully that's the way it goes, because that's the way I would.
I mean, if we start running B mains in the sportsman division, and you've got
Both.
sport mods and sportsmen's, you've got 15 of each, and you're running B mains, they're going to have to do something.
Right.
You could, Chris,
I totally
you
understand that too.
could-
If I was running a B mod, I'd want points.
Sure, absolutely. I
you
get
could,
that.
You could
Yeah.
find a way to encourage them by showing up and saying, we want our own class, and we've got the car count to
To do it.
do
And
it.
honestly,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you right now, I think that's what you're going to see happen anyway.
I think so too. I
think
hope
that's,
so.
Well, I think that's what it's going to be, because everybody wants to run Lebanon.
Yep.
I mean, it's just one of those tracks that it's everybody likes. It's big, it's fast, it's wide. Then you got those guys that say, "Hey, man, Grove is where it's at. It's high bank, it's tight, bull ring racing." And then you got guys that like, if you've ever
They like
watched
the
the
flat
street
track
stocks, like
at
Sunset, if you've ever watched the street stocks there, I mean, that's pretty good racing to watch. From the grandstands, as watching those guys race, they put on a show down there. Those guys will go bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle, and not think twice about it. It's kind of like watching stuff you guys watch. Martinsville, I guess you want to compare it to that.
Oh, don't even go there.
I don't want to go there, so we're not. But it's that's
it's
the
a matter
thing
of
with,
personal
with
preference.
those 3 tracks. They're so different, but Lebanon
There's
is
a track for everybody.
Well, there is
Exactly.
There is.
but Willamette is that I think you're going to see a lot of
premier.
sport guides, a
Yeah.
lot of sport guys showing up with the sport mods.
Yep.
And
Bring them, boys.
I think,
Let's get it.
yeah, and I think you're going to see, even Mike Medell said, "Hey, we'll come up." He's come up for the Speed Week deal, but I think that he would be one of those guys that would make the show show up quite a bit.
I saw he posted on Facebook something about practice last week.
Oh yeah,
and he said, "Yeah, I got a lot of cheater parts."
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. But he's
Get
one
the
of those,
rumors flowing.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. The guy's obviously got a good sense of humor.
Oh, he is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking to him for 20 minutes off the air, and
man.
he is just
Yeah, he's a hoot.
he
is.
He's a good dude.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time talking with him.
So get up here, Mike. Represent.
Yeah, come on up from Southern Oregon. But the Southern, but kind of hard to argue with them. They're running 20+ sport mods down there at Southern Oregon every week. I mean, that's
Exactly.
kind of
For points.
right, and that's where the sport mod population is right now. Is to the south of us.
It'll come.
You're right. It absolutely will. And I'm not saying we're going to take those cars from that track.
No.
You're going to see guys build them like Frisbee and Medell, and I mean you'll see those guys come up, but you'll see the guys in our area start putting those cars together. And
Sportsmen converting over.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
I think it'll be a class that really explodes. So
It's going to be fun to watch and see how it progresses. We'll just have to stay on top of it.
what's going to be fun to
everybody
watch
informed.
is if we can get a hooked up racetrack the first couple of weeks of the year and see. This is what I wanted to talk about this because I'm one of those guys that I love history. I love watching history made.
And you know your history, too.
But here's the thing. We are on the verge of a 12-second lap at Willamette.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, we've seen the guy with the way the shocks have gone, the setups. I mean, right now, John Duty holds a track record at 13.081.
Wow.
We weren't going that fast with sideboards back in the day.
Right.
Now you got the boards off, and these guys are flying around the track faster than ever. That is right on. I mean, you're talking just barely missing a 12-second lap. I think with the conditions, if they're right, we could see somebody like, and you got to throw the name out there, the Duties or Maya or Koffel. It's one of those open motors. You could see one of those guys touch that 12-second bracket. I want to see it.
Yeah, I do, too. I want to be there.
I want to be there when it happens.
As a matter of fact, we need to get the speed trap out there just for practice.
Yes, we will. If
Yeah.
if there's practice next week, we'll have the Moxie speed trap out there, and
Absolutely.
we'll post some of that stuff up, let the
You
guys
bet.
know what they're doing. That was a big hit
They're
of the
getting
racetrack.
faster. They're getting faster every year, man. I won't be surprised to see it. It's going to be fun.
12-second bracket is,
The elite.
I would say, a 12-second bracket is going to happen in the next.
Year or two.
No, it'll happen this season.
He's calling it this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard that from
and
Joel
you know what?
Tomorrow. Widescreen,
I-
he predicts.
I
it
would-
will
I would-
happen.
I would say it's going to happen.
Coming out of turn 4.
coming this year. It's going to happen. Because you look at the environmental conditions, you look at the technology, how far technology's come. And the guy that, John Duty holds the current track record at 13 flat?
13.081.
13.081. So he's 8 hundredths off. 79 or no.
It's 81,000.
81 thou. I'm sorry. Dude, it's been a long day.
Just over 800.
You're right.
81 thou off. And you think about that, how fast he's going. That's
straight
That's
up.
that's a 1/8 or a 1/16 of a misstep.
Dude's got his boogie shoes on.
And I'll tell you what, there's a guy, and we keep talking about shocks. Olin's by JDR is John Duty's baby. He is a shock guy.
Well, so is Jeremy Shank.
So are a lot of those guys.
You can see there's another guy.
There's
as
another guy.
good
Yeah.
as Jeremy is that you got to throw in the mix. That anybody.
And then
but you know
Colin
what?
Weinbarger.
Well, I was going to say Brian Kronk because we see. You want to talk about guys that qualify well.
There's so many of them.
Oh,
yeah.
I hope
Kronk.
we're not forgetting somebody.
Well,
Because
we're not. We're just talking about
There's a lot
things
of
that
good
come to
cars
mind.
out there, man. I cannot wait.
I can't either. But I'm not going to disagree with you. The 12-second lap. I'm going to say it's going to. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen next year. But I think we're going to see it.
Oh, it's coming.
And I would
it's coming.
I would not be surprised after some of the new technology I've been seeing on these crate motors if we don't see a crate motor come close to touching the track record in the modifieds.
All right.
And the
let's back up.
modifieds. Okay. And
Let's
a modified
back up.
track record at Willamette